Hello. I just right after I sort of dive in here, I remember, hey, it helps them to hear you if you turn on the microphone. Just that little thought. How is it going? It is Friday. Again, probably. And so we're going to continue our quest through the Ninth World and just sort of see what more wonders await us. I am going to once again reach over here and pull out this little chat window thingy so that I have that available to me as we go. There we go. And back again. Still haven't figured out a solution for this audio thing. I will be working on it in the back of my head and sort of figure out if there's an easier way to transition with all of this. I might... perhaps there's a thing. There's a thing, perhaps, that can be done. That can help us to figure such things out. And we shall see. We shall see how that goes. And just kind of look into that and work all that out. Alrighty. Where am I? I am here. Hi. Too many things happening simultaneously. Okay. Let us continue, and I'll try to alleviate that whole simultaneity problem. If an enemy is armored, change up the damage type of your attacks with abilities or ciphers to overcome it. Okay. Depends on what kind of armor it is. Always one of those questions. And we're zoomed in once more. I think these are slavers, if I recall correctly, and we're now sort of on a mission. We didn't really accept the mission from them, but we are still going to go and look for this kid that they sent us after, or that they're looking for, because we think that'll be helpful. Now, there was something I wanted to do. I seem to remember. And, I can't remember exactly what that was, but there was something I wanted to check out down here before I did anything else. Did it involve buying things? I don't know. Seems like, you know, I could get an item from this merchant that helps with thoughts and give it to the sculptor, and that might help sort of that situation. Let me take another, just to refresh my memory here, just taking a look and seeing where we are with all this stuff. So main quest, Fallen to Earth, once again, as we're trying to keep away from the sorrow as we figure out what's been going on with us. And as part of that, we're heading right now to the... It's not the Order of Truth, it's the other ones, the folks that are that worship that worship the changing god. There we go. I knew it was in here somewhere. I can't remember what anything's called anymore. Oh well. So we're gonna look into that. We have yes, beloved slave. Has enlisted my help to find her. Well, sort of. Like I said, I never said I'd bring her back. But girl named Rin. We'll see how this goes. A man named Riss is being executed slowly. My friend Tiber asked me to help save him. His friend Tiber, not my friend Tiber. Yeah, that's right. I'm enjoying Tiber thus far, but I have a feeling that someone has still got many secrets they're keeping close to the vest. Needs some help to get materials for the forgery and deal with the authorities. Okay, that's a possibility. Also, stirring up the crowd is apparently also an option, it looks like. So I'll have to kind of see where that goes. Zalfi, a sculptor in Circus Minor, witnessed the murder of a man by the sorrow. Now he's obsessed with sculpting. The moment of the killing. All attempts have been failures. Can't abort until he learns more about the victim. So we've got to find out. So search for the latest victim at Dendra Ohur Chapel. Okay. In the underbelly. So we'll get around to that. We need an official badge. And we can get that from Sangolin. Or we could rally the spectators. Which sounds like it's an interesting idea. I don't know that if I'm persuasive enough, it says. I don't know that the character I've chosen is going to be. Actually, the most persuasive one here is probably Tiber. For he is a cagey jack who knows how to take care of himself. I think we're going to we'll wander back to that. We'll wander back to that since we got all this stuff going on. Anyway, searching the missing lady girl in the district of Cliff's Edge, and so we'll see if we can find her. Okay. All right. Headaches, migraines, all sizes and severities. No thanks. I've got plenty of those. I will let you know if I need more. Actually, no, it's this one. Prata's the one who's selling the mind thingies. This merchant is not. Okay.
On it.
I'm glad you're on it. I'm glad someone is. Okay. I just want to see where everything is, man. The Devourer of Wrongs. What's going to happen? Sega's town person. Child. More children. It's like this is an actual place with people in it. Okay. What are we doing? Why do we want to talk to the Devourer of Wrongs, Jim? Once there were things other than hate in her eyes, now it is all gone. Okay. I can't talk to them right now. Creatures surround us with walls of black stone. They hide the sky from us. Okay, yes. That's good to know.
Now.
Yeah, there's a lot of... Hey, what's that? That's, that strikes me as something that we might want to find out what that is. Can I do? This large, bald, broad-shouldered man turns to face you. You freeze. It's not his dark cloak or his sledgehammer. It's that beneath his mustache and goatee, he is so ugly that he'd scare his own mother in a dark alley. He gives you an abrupt nod, and you get the distinct impression that here stands a man who enjoys the boredom of standing guard and the company of his own thoughts. And scanning his thoughts, slow day, good. Nothing wrong with a slow day. I really think we need to move away from this. We approached it from the wrong direction. Nothing to see here until you pay El Ginto, he says, when it's clear that you aren't moving on. With that, he returns his gaze to the distant sea. What's that thing in the cage? I think that's probably the most pressing question here. A Nychthemeron, he says. Nychthemeron? Nychthemeron? Nychthemeron. El Ginto will tell you about it if that's what you want. Nychthemeron. Who knows? How did you capture the Nychthemeron? They're going to make me say that word as often as possible, aren't they? Long story. Ganadu drawls, then falls into silence. Apparently that wasn't an introduction, but an excuse. He sees at you staring and adds, Ask El Ginto, he's the talker, I watch the beast. Yes, let's keep... But no, I'm going to exhaust this conversation tree first, because that is what we do. There's something glowing over someone's head over here. I'm very curious about it, but let's finish this. How does it hold it prisoner? Don't know, he says. This time he doesn't bother looking your way. El Ginto built it. I'm getting the feeling that he wants us to talk to El Ginto. Where is El Ginto anyway? Jerks his chin at the man in the pointy hat nearby, which I presume that's who that is. Yay, pointy hats. I have a few questions about the city. Ask somebody who lives here, he says, raising his hand. We're not experts on any city, and we don't want to be. Civilization sucks. Why can't we all be deer? Who knows? We could all be deer. I don't know. I'm looking for someone who can repair a device. We don't know anyone like that. We aren't from around here. Farewell. Where do you and your partner come from? There we go. He exhales softly through his nose, giving you the distinct impression that you are making him work harder than he'd like. Larik, a city in the beyond. Packed with blood-mad priests, giant razor cats, and drit. Lots of drit. His weighted gaze seeks the horizon. I don't miss it, but El Ginto does. If you want stories, he's the one to ask. Skizzo says we're going back. Won't be a good day for Larik if we do. Okay. I enjoy being able to read people's thoughts. This is good. Alright. Seems like El Ginto does all the work in your partnership. I got XP for that. He should, Kanadu says, scowling at you, revealing, for a moment, the roiling temper beneath the man's determined calm. He gets the larger share. I'm just the muscle. He's the... He trails off, searching for the word. Brains? Handsome one? Wait for him to finish? I think we're going to wait for him to finish. He's the handyman, Kanadu says at last. He's handy at building stuff, wrangling extra shins from the gawkers, charming free food. He works hard. I pay him an extra share so I don't have to. So I have time to think. Okay. Gotcha. All right. Let's move away from that, from the Nychthemeron, and talk to El Ginto about it. In front of you is a weary traveler whose grim visage is mostly obscured by a pointy hat. Upon closer inspection, the lines on his face indicate he has seen much and has many tales to tell. Better drink up. There's a lot of reading up ahead, probably. Yep, here we go. So much reading. Hello there, friend, he says. Here to see the Nychthemeron? 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 There's no extra R in there, Jim. You have to be careful. Just watch that. Nychthemeron. I used to know Nychthemeron. He had a nightclub. Here to see the Nychthemeron, my friend in the cage over there, or are you just looking to spend a word or two? To spend a word or two. That's interesting. I want to see the creature up close, because I have a death wish. $25 shins, way too much. 10 shins, even right now, way too much. I only have 41. I'm not that interested. We'll be here, he says, and his knowing smile crinkles the skin around his eyes. If you know, you change your mind. I have some questions about your Nychthemeron. He needs to be wearing a big button that says, "Ask me about the Nychthemeron." He's far from mine, friend, El Ginto says with a raspy chuckle. As you'll likely see if I get too close to his cage. He tips his hat at you. Go on, ask your questions. What is a Nychthemeron, anyway? A biomechanical union of stubborn curiosity and frothing malice, he says. Who made them, no one can say, but they cannot be trusted or befriended. Cross their paths or thwart their incomprehensible whims, and they'll kill you if they can. He called the creature he. Is it male? Could be female or genderless or many-gendered. Who can say? I have our friend imprisoned, and I feel better about that fact if I don't call him it. Ah. You just call him them. You could do that. Anyway. How'd you capture it? With a highly experimental trap of my own design, some luck, and the unexpected falling of night. Does that not happen, like, every day? That's very strange. Depends where he was in the world, I guess. If he's up where, you know, like Alaska used to be, then maybe not. How did you capture the creature in a highly experimental trap? Ah, okay. What you plan on doing with it? We're likely to release it and run. That sounds responsible. We're likely to release it and run as if every kind of demon in the world is after us. We're not trappers, see? We're explorers. And we're only in this to save up some coin for a journey across a long patch of ground. He rubs the back of his neck. Not that our motives make much difference to our guest. He'll want to boil our skins once we let him go, and I can't say I blame him. We should do it at night. But even then, I expect he'll try to kill us. You know. Yeah. There's probably more going on here than we have yet. There are so many moving parts to this setting, and I love that. A lot of details. There's a lot. This does end up there with there being a lot of front-loaded details, and so there's a lot to read through. It's interesting to me because it's kind of reminding me of the way that I plan tabletop campaigns a little bit, because that's how I tend to do it myself. Is I front-load a bunch of stuff. I don't actually. Just for myself, I don't, you know, do an info dump at the beginning necessarily if I can help it. But sometimes I have to. But I build a huge amount of stuff ahead of time, and then I just sort of lay it all out in sort of a relationship grid in my head, and then let the players go out and wander around among those things, and whatever direction they go in, that's where I aim things. And so that's interesting that there's a kind of a parallel there with, you know, how people make this type of game. But let us continue. Ah, yes, we're talking about being terribly irresponsible with the Nychthemeron. I want to ask something else. You're welcome to, he says. I'm in no hurry. Kanadu told me a little about your past. Do you have any interesting stories? Sure. Interesting? Well, I'll let you be the arbiter of that, friend. What would you like to hear about? Kanadu said you came from a place called Lorik? Ah, he says with a gentle sigh. My former and future home. Kanadu and I were born in the great... Oh, he's flashing back. Stop him. Kanadu and I were born in the gray outskirts of the city. I'd like to say we were childhood friends, but we weren't. We simply came to know each other through what we lost. Legendo takes a breath. The priests of the million gods of Lorik wandered the streets seeking sacrifices, you see, and opposing them is a sin. In our first 10 years, they claimed our parents, then our friends, and then one day, a pockmarked priest came for me. He hauled me up the glass-paved streets. I wept and screamed, but the faithful and the fearful turned away. I'd almost lost hope when I heard the hammer scraping on the glass. He smiles. Up charged Kanadu, bearing his father's sledgehammer. With a shout, he dashed the priest's brains from his skull, and we ran. He shuts his eyes, smiling. And we've been running ever since. But we will return one day, I think, armed for the occasion. It worked on the Nychthemeron. It has to work in Lorik. I know it will. I wonder... Yeah. So whatever this device is that he used to capture the Nychthemeron, I should put a little counter in the bottom corner of the screen so that we can tick the number of times we use the word Nychthemeron. Um, but anyway, assuming I'm pronouncing it the way this character would, I have no idea. The developers pronounce it probably some strange way, like Nychthemeron or something. But that's the wonderful thing about civilizations, that if they're at all realistic, different people say things differently. Anyway. So, yeah, Larik. They're gonna go and liberate Larik, I guess. Or, depends on your definition of liberate. What happened after you escaped? Yes, let's do that. Years of struggle, he says, his expression darkening. Years without measure. Years measured only in years. Wait, what? After Larik, we lived from meal to meal, eating only what we could steal. Kanadu grew into his strength, and I grew, but less obviously. I began studying, you see. I read ancient texts about my lost home and the sickness that possesses it to this day. I thought about how I could cure it, he says, clenching his fist. So we began exploring ruins. We sold the broken relics we found for food and equipment, kept the interesting ones for future study. To tell you of all the adventures we had in those days would take almost as many years as I've been alive, if not more. If that doesn't make sense to you, then you have not traveled far into the depths of the beyond. Some of the ruins there lie outside time, and we saw... He swallows, reclaims the thread of his thoughts. We searched countless places for the components I needed for my trap. Yes, the one our guest is contained in. And we headed east into the Clock of Kala. The Clock of Kala is very interesting. I need to go back in and finish reading about it, because I never actually... I didn't still quite get to the Beyond section. I read through most of the Steadfast section of the core Numenera book, but I didn't get much into the Beyond section, and I want to get in there. But I know some things about the Clock of Kala. It's interesting to... but it's incomplete. I want to know more. One day. Lawminders, this... Whoa. More words. Lawminders, the Sarek of Urkalak, the Iron Wind. We're multiply lucky. Multiply? We're multiply lucky to be alive. Yep, that's how... Okay. Interesting. I guess, yeah, you could use that as an adjective. Multiply as an adjective, which would be multiply. Okay. What's the Clock of Kala? Yes, tell us about the Clock of Kala. A ring of mountains between here and the beyond, he said. A land of glorious and lethal wonders. He sighs happily. I'm looking forward to going through it again. Interesting. I've got a map here somewhere. The Clock of Kala is very interesting to me in particular, because it just, again, it's this ring, right? And you're looking at the map, and you see these what look like natural features, and then you see this big, just perfect circle that nature could not have possibly created. And that's the Clock of Kala. I may try and grab it in a minute. We'll see. Just to see if you want to see that. Okay, going through it again. Yes, good. We easily spent a decade searching the base of the peaks for the final parts of the trap. He said. At last we heard. He said. You're going into past tense there. At last we heard a rumor. A horde of ghosts occasionally stampeded through the lands of Agur-Kala, bearing relics and smearing reality in their wake. Neat. This last detail was what interested me, he says, raising a finger. I created a device, a bell of sorts, that would attract the ghosts' attention. And when they came, there stood Kanadu, hammer ready. That's a good thing. I'm actually gonna move myself a tiny bit here into lower right, just so that, since we started moving in that direction. Hammer ready. The bell drew them, you see, but it also made them more real. Kanadu waded into the ghosts, striking them down. The rest fled, but we had found the materials I needed for the trap I'll use to capture a god. A wide smile spreads over his face. The trap he'll use to capture a god. Okay. Beneath Lorik lies a mad being who demands the sacrifice of mothers, fathers, and children. Once we free our guest here, we will return home with this trap. We'll use it to kidnap a god or die trying. Okay. He takes a deep breath. Thank you for taking an interest in an old man's stories, he says. I'd like to return the favor. Normally we charge quite a bit for visits to the Nychthemeron, everyone. Let's all say it together. Nychthemeron. To the Nychthemeron's cage. You, my friend, can see it for free. He gives Kanadu a complicated whistle. The big man raises his eyebrows, rolls his eyes, and nods. Okay. Well then. I guess we're about to fight a Nychthemeron. For someone who can repair it. Must be desperate shape if you're patrolling the circus, talking to strangers, he says. Do you have a piece of the device? Might be that I can offer my opinion. A new device? Perhaps I could use it to improve the trap. Yes, I have this shard of crystal. No. Can you come look at the device? I want to ask you about something else. Okay, this one's tricky because it's always this question of who can you trust? You trust. I'm going to show him the shard. Because I feel as though that's a lot of backstory to just stop here. I will show him the shard. Okay, we're getting XP right and left here. He accepts the crystal shard with great care, turning it over and over in his cracked hands. In the silence, you catch a hint of wood smoke and notice that his eyes have turned slate gray. Living crystal, he mutters at last, seeking a greater whole, still warm, maybe alive, maybe thinking. He hands the shard back to you with a touch of regret. Interesting piece of tech, but not one I know much about. Sorry, friend. Try asking around some more. Scan thoughts. Not a piece of tech I can use either. Oh, well. Yeah. Okay. Well, we got XP for that, so that's something. All right. Okay. Just zooming in to look at this. Look at these folks. Okay, I'm gonna save the game before I ask to see the Nychthemeron. Yeah, there's this XP is so delicious. I can never get enough. Yeah, the thing in a jar reminds me of something, but I can't remember what it reminds me of. I'm gonna go ahead and save Circus Minor Nychthemeron. Nychthemeron. Okay. Alright, here we go. Let's ask to look at this thing. No, can I do? There we go. Hello, may we see your Nychthemeron? Good, Kanadu says, furrowing his patchy eyebrows. It's clear that he doesn't understand why you're talking to him. Okay. I guess we just walk up to the thing. Oh, we can interact with it now. Okay. The cage in which the creature floats is a simple frame that contains a shimmering, nearly transparent cylinder of energy. It emits a low hum, barely audible, that sets your teeth on edge. The container is a delicate filigree of ornate materials with no apparent controls. But surely they must be hidden somewhere in the traceries and protrusions of the wirework. He does kind of look like Krang, that's true. A little bit. Bigger head. But yeah. Although I have not seen recent depictions of him. I only remember the cartoon from the 80s. You approach the cage cautiously. The monster within looks like a fungal blob mated with a muscular ichthyoid. It's the thesaurus is getting a real workout here in this game. Its multiple tentacles terminate in syringes, needles, and injectors. Okay. This mass sits atop and is integrated with a floating orb of some type. It seems to be both mechanical and biological, with one system flowing smoothly into the next, a creation from some mad nightmare. Why did you go to that side of the cage to see him instead of coming down here where the camera is? Never mind. Anyway, we can't see its face from here. Okay, seems to be both mechanical and biological, one system flowing smoothly in the creation from some mad nightmare. Interesting. Okay. Yeah, I mean, so if you give it tools, especially you bond tools to it, it's got to have enough of a measure of intelligence to be able to use those tools, one would think. So, yeah. The energy field darkens protectively and automatically as the creature throws itself at its walls, thrashing and striking mindlessly with its needle-tipped tentacles. The darkening is almost a strobe-like effect. Even as you watch, one of its tentacles coils back and blasts furious plasma at the walls of its cage. The cage holds, but the shields dim to prevent any radiation from the blast from escaping. I was just thinking, furious plasma is going to be the name of my next metal cover band, probably. Hair metal cover band. That's probably the brand of metal it should be. Examine the cage. What are you? How did you come to be here? What can you tell me of this place? Okay, let's look at the cage first. The cage appears to be a mixture of synth, spun strong glass, and a lightweight metal, intricately embroidered to create mind-warping patterns, evocative and strange. Energy shifts and flickers among the crevices, somehow being shaped by the form of the materials. Your closer examination reveals a small panel worked cunningly into the frame of the cage. Some of the filigrees here are worn and smooth, as if slowly eroded by friction. Perhaps these are the controls. Yes, let's let it out. We did save the game. I think before we try touching anything, let's talk to it. What are you? If anything, the creature redoubles its effort to strike at you, its limbs a flurry of rage. Granted, most people don't like being asked that question. How did you come to be here? It draws away from the edge of the energy field for a moment as if gathering its thoughts, and then it launches itself at you, rebounding off the deceptive solidity of the cage. Its tentacles flail wildly, the needles at their tips glinting and oozing. What can you tell me of this place? A dim light builds underneath the Nychthemeron, the orb at its base glowing brighter and brighter. Two tentacles stroke it, and they pull out a streamer of bright lightning. They stretch it between themselves, building in intensity, and then they hurl it at you. The walls of the cage darken instantly, and when they lighten again, you see the monster within flailing and crashing fruitlessly against its invisible walls. I have to wonder if that... I mean, that could be an answer, actually, depending on how it wants to set up the dialogue, but I guess, let's take a look. The creature redoubles its efforts to strike at you, its limbs a flurry of rage. Can you understand me at all? No, we're just going to keep doing this, right? Yeah. Okay. I think what I'm gonna do, just because just because. Alright. Reach out to the cage, your fingers hovering over some of the cunningly worked materials, and then you lay your hands on the cage. You close a circuit in the energy somewhere, or you become a part of it, and strange energies jolt through your body. The shock hurls you away from the cage. Yay! Is that Kark, so you've got no one to blame but yourself, you stupid Tulk? Yeah, no, that's fully understandable. It's a hurts.
Let's go.
The cage's hum dips lower for a moment, throbbing almost at the limit of your hearing. Your bones and teeth ache briefly, and everyone within 3 meters of the cage claps their hands to their ears. You, are you trying to kill us all? Leave the cage alone! He shoves you away from the cage. Do you even know what'll happen if that thing gets free? Yes. Okay. Alright, so that did nothing except took away, did 3 points of damage. So, I'm going to reload that. Just because there it is. Whilst we're reloading, I think I'm going to grab that map real quick, just to show what's going on here. I'm gonna.
Yes.
Let's run around down here, so that we can have that going on. And Traveler. Okay, we'll talk to these people in a moment. First, however, let me grab the... just to display it real quick for anyone who's interested. Hang on. Hello. So there is a game that comes with this map, and actually this is not going to show. It's not on this map, is it? It's not. This is the Steadfast. Oh, never mind. I got a map. It's got a thing. I'm not gonna. Okay, never mind. Since I brought this over here, I'll go ahead and just for the sake of whatever. Here, just for the sake of it here. Let me show you this. This is a map that comes with a. It's a card game about this whole thing called the Ninth World, and it has this map of this mostly the Steadfast area. It turns out. He's pretty. It's kind of that. The map is part of a playmat for that game. Unfortunately, it does not in fact have anything that's. Shows you the Clock of Kala, which is what I was going to try to find in the first place. But anyway, back to the game. Let's see. Yeah, we'll stick in the lower right here since we're mostly heading around that way. Okay, Traveler. Let's talk to this Traveler because we have to talk to everybody. He's right here for her. Are you new to Circus as well? Yeah, apparently. All right. Okay.
I'm going.
That's good. I'm glad you're going. Otera.
Yes.
And this just puts us back around the gate, yeah? Okay. Alright. More long chats. Felinda, nearly every inch of this merchant's body is covered in tightly wound robes and furs. A hood obscures its head and a mask conceals its face. This doesn't stop you from noticing that it is apparently furious with you, trembling. It bats at its similarly dressed companion. Both of them turn impassive masks back to you. Ah, yes, clearly not a fan of the previous owner of this body. Neither Felinda nor Sturisti could believe it, but the thief had come back. Had he come in shame? Ready to return what he had taken? No, his hands were empty, his expression baffled. Felinda crosses swaddled arms. Perhaps the thief had simply forgotten to return what he had borrowed. But this made him no less a thief. Are you narrating me? Hate it when people narrate me, man. The thief said, trying to distract Felinda from the matter at hand, but the merchant would not be distracted. Besides, the merchant had been asked this question many times. 10 years ago, this thief had borrowed a book. Felinda wondered if the scoundrel was possibly unfamiliar with the definition of the word. It did not mean taking a thing and keeping it, after all. Sturisti pointedly returns to work, ignoring you both, Felinda sighs, massaging its temples with gloved hands. But in the end, Felinda took a deep, deep breath and asked the thief to simply return the sealed and long-overdue book with the 5-colored sigil on its cover. How can you possibly remember who borrowed a book from you 10 years ago? The cunning thief said, hoping to arouse doubt in Felinda's mind. But the hope was a foolish one. Felinda was memory in the same way that the thief was fatty tissue, fluids, and chunks of calcium. The merchant crosses its arms. Felinda was out of patience. Was the thief going to return the book or not? I can't promise anything, but I'll look for it. The thief muttered unashamed, but Felinda was satisfied. Temporarily. And with that, the merchant returns to work as well. Why do you narrate everything I say? The thief said, but Felinda knew from long experience that there was no explaining it. The merchant kneels before a bookshelf and jams book after book into the remaining space. This frustrated Felinda. After all, the two merchants were creatures of words, bound in metal and cloth, but whenever Felinda tried to bend these same words into explanations and answers, they crumbled and fell apart. Oh, it's just like inside my head. They could not fold themselves around the truth. The merchant slams a final book into place, and so Felinda said nothing, aside from all that. And once again, Felinda was exonerated. The thief knew he was a thief. Why won't you tell me why you're narrating everything I say? The thief pleaded. He still did not understand that Felinda wasn't speaking. That what the thief was hearing was the passage of time. Yeah. Okay. Right, yeah, thanks. Good to know. The silent merchant traces dark fingers over a cracked scroll that appears to be ignoring you as politely as possible. Why stress do you work? The merchant's spread-fingered hands glide over a faded parchment with the faint sounds of quills scratching. Okay. The vibrant letters in an unfamiliar tongue appear in their wake. Okay. The merchant again presses his hand over the page and you hear the scrape of a quill on paper. Dark letters emerge from the shadow of that hand as if pulled from beneath the page. That's cool. That's all we're gonna get, okay. Why is your partner narrating me? Why don't you talk? Alright, that's done. Scritch. Okay, thank you. Cool. That was nice. Alright. There's no peace. You gonna put some shins in the bucket or just stand there gawking? Yeah. Public speaker. Well, prophesize for free, pal. I don't have a bucket in here that I can interact with, so I guess I'm just gonna watch. Oh hey, I can examine some things. Books and scrolls line shelves extending into the depths of the stall. It is obvious that these are true lovers of the written word. Armors of wildly different materials are arrayed neatly within the stall. Oh, that's good. Unfortunately, I am a nano and cannot use armor. Sign over the stall says, "The Arming Room, buy, sell, trade." Under the awning, a skinny man with stooped shoulders and a concave chest is cleaning a filth-caked weapon of some kind. He salutes you with a greasy hand. Down in a moment. Have a look around. If you need anything, let me know. Apparently he's from New England. What can you tell me about Circus Cliffs? Good place for the arms trade. Not much call for weapons in the city proper, it's true. The levies keep things quiet, he shrugs. I get most of my business from mercenary companies. The endless battle draws them by the dozens. Explorers, too. Plenty of carcass save up their shins and kit themselves out, all fancy-like. Then they wander down the reef or into the bloom and never come back. Okay. Show me what you have for sale. Oh. Okay. These are my ciphers. That I guess I could sell if I wanted to. Spray flesh. Encephalic rush. Fleetfoot moss. 8-fingered mace. I could sell that because I can't use it, and that would get me a decent number of shins. Illiterated force. Okay. And buckler. Am I capable of using shields? This is a good question. Meant to be strapped to the arm, the simple wooden shield will offer some limited protection by absorbing incoming blows and projectiles. Wow, thank you. No, don't buy. There we go. Great sword. Rapier. Oh, okay. Verid. It's a medium melee weapon. Okay, I still can't use that. Light melee weapon artifact. Concussive truncheon. It's 284 shins. That's freaking expensive. And critical hits confer stunned. Active 1 round. Ah. Crossbow. Battle axe. Broadsword. Oh, that's a light melee. Oh, okay, so. That does 3. Right now the shard does the same amount. Yeah. I don't think I can actually make use of any of these. I mean, the truncheon would be cool, but that's kind of expensive, so we're not going to do that. However, I think I will sell this to them. Because I can't use it. There we go. Yeah. Yay, more shins. See, I'd think about getting a shield if it's something I can in fact use. I don't know. I don't know. I might do that in a bit. Could sell ciphers. If I need. Well, this is good also because if I end up with too many ciphers, I can just start selling them off, and that's helpful. All right. I will think about getting a shield. That's right, he's got the ability to use medium weapons. And I'm going to leave that alone for now. Okay. Good, more shins. Okay. Now where, kids? Let's look at the map real quick. See what we've uncovered so far. We've so far uncovered this area. I think I'm going to keep going clockwise, and that way we'll sort of see more. Right. Okay. Yeah. Ah! Alright.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. And I have no idea. Child! Street performers are for babies. Oh, okay. I see how it is. It's denigrating people making an honest living! The Genocide. Oh, that's an interesting name. Let's see what that's about. Finally remembered to zoom in before I did this. This burly, armor-clad figure stands almost motionless as you approach. He regards you silently through his singular eye. The studs on his arms and the blades on his shoulders are stained and pitted with age. When he speaks, his voice is muffled and artificial, a hollow grumble that emanates from the entirety of the helmet. Muffled and artificial, a hollow grumble that comes... Okay. I am the Genocide. If you ask, I must answer. It's not hollow, but, you know, I'm only working with what I have right now. Pass on, then, and exchange no words. Pass on, then, and exchange no words. Anyway. His surface thoughts are like a crystal pool, alternately transparent or else perfectly reflecting his words. His mind reveals nothing hidden, except for a low-level hatred of everything around him. The latter is more a feeling you get than an actual thought that you hear. Ah. What are you? Ah. I am a blade that cannot cut, a weapon that cannot strike, a living monument to failure. He shifts his weight. You hear the frown in his voice. I was Ogesti Tel Kotu. Kotu, the firm hand of tradition. They called me one of the Black Three. Enemies did not understand us. They took my name to mean death in a dozen extinct tongues. Called me Orphan Maker, Hope Smasher, Death's Child. My armies blackened the earth and the skies. My Dragoliths scoured the land. Domination was my duty. Domination? Domination. There we go. If they had known, if they had welcomed us, they might have been our thralls. Instead, they became dust. He gestures. All this, it was to have been mine in stewardship for the future of my people. It was promised, but now... His arm falls back to its side. Now I am the Genocide. Now I am the Genocide, a relic. A relict? The last of my kind. Said you were the last of your kind. Why? I know of no others. Kaligarangvor, he who shakes truth and shares... I can't see! He who shares truth and understanding is dead. Vostile Lo, the blinding light of reason, was destroyed. The underspine has fallen. My people are destroyed utterly, and our servant God speaks to us no longer. Our servant God? The clean lines of order and the glory of battle have forsaken us. He pauses. The rest are dust. We rose against a superior foe and were outmatched. Only I remain to tell the story of the Tabat. It's like kind of a penance, really. Said I had to answer. You had to answer if I asked why. From within the helmet you hear a grinding noise, the sound of teeth gnashing, amplified. Then the voice again, bleak. We sat at the river's edge and we wept for the time that was. We saw nothing more to conquer, and yet our fears still drove us. We had conquered the land, purged its impurities, made it ours. Still we wanted more. When we heard that humans had come to carve a home, we rejoiced to have a new foe, a new test of our truth. We rode against them. We drove them to the forge of the night sky, to the valley of Mrajolios? To the dangers of the Black Riage. That I've heard of. But those who built atop these ruins, they thwarted us. Time and again, and so we brought our constructs and our deadliest warriors to the bay outside the city. We laid a mighty siege. We entered the human settlement. We fought past barricades and traps. Some of our constructs are still here, silent and dead. But when we thought we had achieved our greatest victory... ... He lowers his head. A powerful nano saved them. With his magics, he called upon the strength of the ancients and captured us. I thought my life was at an end, but he imprisoned me in slow time, trapped me in my body, used machines to paralyze my will. I still remember our glories, and I see the faded future in front of me, and I am powerless to act. The memories of our triumphs remain always at the forefront of my mind, and I must answer the mocking questions of these people or suffer. Yeah. Tell me about the nano who trapped you here. How did he stop you? The genocide raises his hands in defeat. He found old knowledge and made it his own. He created defenses that we could not penetrate. Most telling, most effective, the shield generators. He created 3 barriers around the heart of the city, and the last unmoored the city in time. When our constructs touched it, they flashed to stasis. We could not reach the city, but the city could reach us. You feel the ticklings of memory as the genocide speaks of the shields. He continues to talk, oblivious. So we can let the memory come, or we can push the memory aside and focus on his words. I think we need to let the memory come, don't you? Ah! The memory from the orb in the labyrinth comes upon you again, stronger than before, but now you remember it as it happened, not as you wished it had. You fought against the woman with the invisible blade, and you crept past the guards at the base of the stair. And you descended into the basement of your tower. You activated generators and ascended to the command platform on the heights. The nearby panels buzz and crackle with unseen energies. The shields, you mutter. We need the shields now. You press several buttons. A generator coughs into life, and the lights flicker for a moment. A faint veil of energy encircles the city. And then there is a strange and terrible stillness, as if the world held its breath. The rest of the memory is bloodshed. The humans of Sega's cliffs made the stranded Tabat pay. Interesting! And then the memory fades. You know now that the nano who saved the city became the changing god. You know it was he who defeated the Tabat. You remember the hatred. But you do not remember the girl who was with you. What was her name? This could be the one with the other tattoo, maybe. Who knows? The genocide watches you silently. Yeah. Sorry, I wasn't paying attention. Can you tell me about that again? I'm not required to speak of him again to you. The compulsion has been satisfied. Ah, crap. Seem very calm for someone who's been in prison for centuries. I have been defeated. I have nothing to fight for. My captor castrated me with a tool they made to dampen my natural urges. I can remember the actions. I can recall the glory, but I feel shame, regret. I am weakened, but not by my volition. The genocide squeezes his fists. What does it matter? Those who stood against me are all dead. I am victorious. I no longer fight with a blade. My weapon is time. Oh, nice. It's an interesting way to look at it. Note to self. Content warnings. Need to figure out how that works on Twitch. Just a thought. Anyway. He leans in closer. I do not die. I cannot be wounded. I am held like a beetle in sap. Why would I not be serene? He settles back. The underspine spoke of my destiny. I was to wage war unto the edge of the universe. But the universe keeps going, and so it seems must I. Someday I will be free. Someday. Until then, I am incorruptible. Nice. Oh, the lungs. So the Nana who defeated you was the changing god. He and his children still live. Don't tell him that! Don't just go poking at him. This is interesting because, I mean, I feel like while, on the one hand, I want to complete all the conversation trees, I feel like that's not something we should be doing. There's like a certain responsibility for saying certain things. And I think that actually... See, I interviewed one of the developers of this a while back on an episode of the Cyphercast. And when we were talking about this, I think that was one of the things that we mentioned, that it's not like a regular conversation tree. There are consequences for saying certain things to certain people. So that's cool. But not something I want to... Yeah, not something I want to draw on for this guy right now. I mean, it's not like he can do anything, but just in case. Because, I mean, like, he can tell other people, too. Alright, here we go. What were the Tabat? My people, his voice is forlorn. Great warriors, we owned this land. We served the Underspine, and it served us. We sought truth in victory. We ascended to epiphany. We were pure, incorruptible, indivisible even in disunity. We found strength in one another and proved it with bloody blades, but we fell, and the Underspine fell, and so, too late, we learned a new truth. But I carry the old ways as a seed within my heart. Why did the Tabat fight so much? For honor, for truth, for the one way, because it was our duty. We were born to the blade, so it was written, so we chose. Free will is a curse unless given to a greater purpose. Ah! I've known people who think like that. Our purpose was given to us by the Underspine, given to the Underspine by our ancestors, who founded and crystallized our essence forever. Interesting. Mention the names of some Tabat. Can you tell me about them? Kaligat Anvor, the strongest mind of the Black Three. None could stand before him when he bent his mind to their unraveling. Intricate, careful, overwhelming. Vostele Lo, a methodical planner, collector of curiosities. The toolsmith and construct waker. It was he who brought the ancient machines to life. And I, the knife, the strategist. The blade in their hands. We three were unstoppable. He pauses. Until Sagus Cliffs. Until then. Until the corruption of defeat. He's probably not going to answer this one, but can you tell me where the other Tabat are again? The rest of the Tabat have gone to the dust. Only I remain. Okay. Let me ask about something else. You mentioned the shield generators. Can you tell me about them? I told you their effect. They unmoored the city in time. They severed our supply lines. They left us vulnerable and defeated us. The Underspine strategy failed us. I began to doubt. He shifts slightly. The generators are unused, abandoned, their purpose forgotten. Though the people of this city still swear by our name, and our terrors are fresh in their nightmares. Despite the passage of centuries, they have forgotten the means of their salvation. Interesting. Looks like the Changing God's been sort of stayed in this area for whatever reason. Or has investment in this particular area. Which makes sense, because there are, this is where his stuff is, but there's just something particular about it. This one beside me no longer functions. Oh, is this one? But the one One of the others is buried in the ground not far from here and has not yet failed. It powers the clock around which those ridiculous fools prance. Ah, the cult. Alright. Nope, not gonna do it. No more questions. Farewell. No, I wish you no good tidings. None! Alrighty. I'm sorry you feel that way.
On it.
This machine towers above you like a dagger driven into the ground by a giant. It seems much older than the surrounding buildings. Your hands itch to touch the array of dark panels scattered around the machine, as though they have touched them before. Ooh boy. How much do I want to use here? This is clearly important. It's important. Still can't do it. That memory teases you with images of the machine in pieces, but you can remember no more than that. Let's examine the device. I think we know enough right now about it. Your hands slip over the cobbled together components and greasy cables. Greasy cables. The buttons worn by frequent use. It is a strange accomplishment, this machine, clumsy but deft. Amateurish but masterful. Only a brilliant mind could have melded so many disparate parts into a functional device. Unfamiliar memories whisper to you this device was used, though you don't know how, to generate a field that unmoored everything within it from time itself. Your fingers scrape a rough patch. Lifting them, you see a... Whoa, okay. Circinate? Symbol etched into the side like a mark, like a maker's mark. Yeah. I've got a... Let me try one more time. See, it's slightly better chance now because we've examined it. I should have done that. Got it. You close your eyes to better concentrate, sinking into the currents of a memory that does not belong to you, or at least not to the body you're in, and you hear the thunderous heartbeat of the operational generator calling you from across centuries. XP! You open cold, focused eyes, ignoring the screams, the drifting tangles of black smoke. Your attention is solely focused on the health of the machine's heartbeat. You reach into the hissing guts of the generator, adjusting and tuning, hoping. The heartbeat fades into the past. Your hand, your body's hand, rests on the rusty surface of the long-dead generator. Anything else? Nope. Okay. Also, as we look at it more closely, yeah, similar markings to that building that's down there. Interesting. Okay. Now, I'm way down here, so I need to take one of these things that we have. Because I believe I have something that heals intellect. Only 3 points. Alright. We need to do that. Alright, so we got a little bit back. We need to do more to get. No! Not what I was looking for. How do we heal? I'm gonna be at tier 2 at some point. Maybe that'll be when it happens. In the context of this game, that's the question. Legacy is now Scholar. Okay. Blue tide represents wisdom, reason, and enlightenment. People attuned to this tide seek information and the preservation of knowledge in all forms, whether scientific or spiritual. Scholars, teachers, guides, and mystics are often attuned to this tide. How do we heal our stats? Aside from just, you know, picking up things. I think it's just picking up things right now. Oh, sleeping. There we go. What's this sleeping thing? I don't know. I've heard of it. Okay. This way.
Let's do it.
Let's finish exploring around down here before we head up these stairs. No idea what that is because we can't see it. Okay. Child, performer, child. I warn you, this next illusion may frighten you. Do that again, but slower. I'm going to watch your hands.
All right.
Okay, who's this? Beleazar. Beleazar. Beleazar? I don't know. Beleazar. This thin, fidgeting Aeon priest shoots furtive, sidelong glances at the creature in the nearby cage while humming a nonchalant tune. When he sees that you're watching him, he flinches. Over the course of a few frantic breaths, shock becomes embarrassed anger, and he opens his mouth to shout at you. There must be a way, but how? No, they never leave it alone. And he spots Aligarn at your side and sneers. Oh, look, you found someone to chase shadows with, Aligarn. How much are you paying him to pretend your blather makes sense? He spits at your companion's feet. Ah, well, yeah, we're not gonna get very far. Aligarn raises his eyebrows at the spatter of wet dirt. It's nice to be famous. Not that you'd know, because I sure as hell don't know you. He smirks in your direction. Typical order of truth acolyte here, treating tasty gossip as evidence. Doesn't matter if something's true, so long as it's interesting. Oh. No, wrong. Typical order of truth acolyte here, treating tasty gossip as evidence. Doesn't matter if something's true, so long as it's interesting. There we go. Maybe they should call it the order of trust. I'm not getting involved in this. Good, he says, smirking past the priest. No use arguing with the Aeon priests anyway. You're better off throwing your words down a well. The young acolyte pointedly turns from your companion to face you. What do you know about the creature over there? Oh boy. Okay. What? Beleazar says, jumping. Then he takes a breath and struggles to sound offhand. It's a Nychthemeron. A biomechanical creature. There's a whole journal entry on it, didn't you see? An information gatherer, in fact. He seems to calm down as he warms to the topic. They're dangerous, though. You can only speak to them at night. During daylight, they'll attack without provocation. Ah! Okay. Is it not night yet? Have we not spent enough time asking around? Is there a day and night cycle here? I mean, in the game, rather. I know that there's 28 hours, but, you know. Yes. That far into the future, like a billion years in the future. It's 28 hours to every day, except for 24. The Earth's rotation has slowed a bit. That's interesting. Attacks without thinking, huh? Aligarn says, smiling at Beleazar. You're practically twins. You're planning something, aren't you? Beleazar just weighs the intent of your words with narrowed eyes. Are you with the Order of Truth or just snooping? I could say I'm a friend of the Order. Not gonna do that. I'm just curious. Well, I'm not planning anything. I'm enjoying the fresh air, he snaps, eyes darting to the Nychthemeron. Honesty and openness, hallmarks of the Order, Aligarn. Hallmarks of the Order, Aligarn mutters, keeping his voice low. If you really want to know what he's up to, you could ask one of the other priests of the Order. I'm sure they'd be happy to sell out his secrets. Alright. Who this? Good day to you, visitor. Yay, okay. Map. Alright. Tents. Let's check out the tents. So much to check out! Oh yeah, what is this? Hey, here we go. This structure is embedded in the ground. It was clearly not made by the same people who built Circus Minor. It looks as though the device extends deeper into the ground, below the road. Weathered runes are spread across the device's surface. Leave the device alone. That's all we can do with it. Don't touch it. You don't know where it's been.
Don't mind if I do.
Alright. Look, it's one of the Death Cheater's vessels. Ah, can it be? Oh dear. What fortune, what joy! Jasmine will want to see you, Vessel, and Mimion too. Oh, these are the... Yeah, these are the folks. What we are supposed to talk to. Let's save before we do that. Yeah. Yeah. Changing God cultists. Yay, cultists. Acknowledge. Have all of your brethren cast off. Whoa. Okay, hang on. Screen's going weird. That is all but a few. Okay. I'm gonna change positions here real quick.
I'm going.
No! Don't go. Come back. Studied your sire's lives since I was a youth. All my wisdom I owe to them. Okay. You've come to the right place. All of your sire's cults. Of all your sire's cults, ours is the first and greatest. Great. Okay. Nice. You should speak to Casmine and Mimion, Vessel. They are first among your sire's faithful. Okay. Good to know. Hey.
Let's go.
What was this then? This is an ancient device. Embedded in the ground. Weathered runes are etched into its surface. Leave it alone. The right place. Okay, blah 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 blah. Many of your sides touched the city, shaped it really into what we know today. Okay, nice. Sagistown person. Alright. Cultist. Are these the ones? I don't know, they're too far up the screen, I can't see them. Yeah, these tents don't seem to have much of the way of us being able to interact with them, but that's okay. I give all my fortune to the faith, every shin of my family's wealth. Hope that was a good investment. I was an outcast, hideous and shunned before I found your sire's cult. Yes. Thank you, the changing God thanks you. Hey, you want to tell me about these people? As well as going to be expected. What do you think of Tiber? A liar and a know-nothing. At least he doesn't expect you to hold up your side of a conversation. Very true. I can entertain myself and countless others for hours. Good, why don't you go looking for them? Let's continue on.
Thanks for taking me on, lad. Always good to have a friend watching your back, huh? Now, what can I do for you?
Never better. Don't you worry, I'm with you to the end of my path anyway, but he's been useful so far. Really? Who's Charming little thing, I think, and beautiful in his own way. I think that's the child. I think eventually, maybe we get the child. Okay. So serious, isn't he? There's no point in frowning all the time. Life's hard enough. I smile. You might give some thought to why you personally never see me doing it. Did I want to ask him anything else? There are a lot of things I can ask. So you're a captain? Retired, he says, raising his hands in surrender. I've been on my own, more or less, for a handful of decades now. He winks. Still, having a captaincy under your belt opens doors, lifts dresses, drops trousers, so I tend to wave it around whenever I can. Content warning. Okay. What's your story? Oh, the usual. Farm boy joins one war or another. He doesn't die, but gets a good spanking by the world until he learns to spank it back. I must know more. And I don't blame you, he declares, clapping you on the shoulder. But I'll warn you, I've never had a handle on what people consider too much information. His smile crinkles the corner of his eyes. Never looked for one either. He claps his hands. Go on, ask your questions. I've got answers for everyone. We didn't do this before. We're doing it now. Tell me about your life as a soldier. Well, I wasn't the best or worst, he says with a shrug. But I started at the bottom, fell out the side, and ended up a gallowglass on my own. He sighs. Not an easy life being a mercenary, but you fight for causes you believe in and avoid striking blows that aren't deserved. And you try not to fail at both, while the realities of life batter you into new shapes, change you. Some of the best days of my life, those, despite the tears. So the realities of life changed you. How? So much backstory. Not one for the light questions, are you? He rubs his hands together. My father refused me. God, getting tired here. At a bit of a low ebb today. We're going to see how much further we can go, though. We don't have that much longer. My father raised me to be honest. Well, honesty works on a farm. Animals don't lie to you much, as a rule, but as a soldier, he squints. Put it like this. First night in the camp, I was mugged by my sergeant and left for dead. All because I thought an honest face meant an honest heart. It's the honest ones you have to watch out for. So I've adapted my approach over the years. I reward kindness with kindness, cruelty with justice. And foolishness with object lessons on the way of the world. He winks, but there is something somber there. Everyone has their lessons to learn in this life. Best that your teachers are kind men, I always say. Who have you fought for? Shoo, he says with a misty look at the air. I fought for a number of causes over the years. My first fight was alongside the rugged cattlemen of the Plowshares, trying to keep the slave families and of the Sagus Protectorate from getting their hands on the bird folks' grazing land. He shrugs. I've been all over the map, and off the edges, too, having good times and bad. Went with the Ailu Rebels, the White Company. The White Company. Wonder if that's a Glenn Cook reference. Even fought in the Endless Battle for a while until I figured out my commander was lying to me. Walked away from a hefty purse on that one, I tell you. But it was the right thing to do. He winks. And the safest. And the sanest. Should have left even earlier, pay or no pay. There is this underlying... I have to go back and look and see if what Monty said about his influences for Numenera, because and maybe this might be more of these people making this game, but I do feel every now and then I do get a hint of what feels like a little bit of Glenn Cook's Black Company every now and then, and that could be continuing here. But in any case, what else do we want to ask our companion about here? The Endless Battle, sure, why not? The endless conversation about the Endless Battle. Of course I can, he says. But for a moment, it seems he won't. His mouth works, but no words come out. It was more a nightmare than a war, he says at last. We marched out one morning to take a certain hill, and we took it. He winces. Then a shivery little ripple crossed the battlefield, and we were back on the march, heading for the same hill. Only this time, the other side routed us. I lost this arm. He shows it to you, smooth and unmarked. More messing with time. Interesting. You'd think our commander would have given us the rest of the war off, but no. But no. His eyes go hard and grim. She kept making us fight until the waves of time died down and we took that damn hill and held it. He smiles wearily. I am certain I died a few times myself, but here I am still, whole and handsome as ever. What's the point of the endless battle? The fighting itself is pointless. All those lads and lasses dying for a cause centuries old. He smirked sadly, his gaze distant. Now I know I just described any war, but we both know that certain people make a tidy profit from bloodshed on a grand scale. And the endless battle, well, it's endless, and that makes it endlessly profitable. Dun, 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 dun. Do I have any other questions, really? I want to hear a story from your past. Really? Wait, no, we already did that. There's so much here. Okay. First battle. Heh, he says, I nearly missed it. As I said, my sergeant knocked me out, stripped me naked, and hit the road with his friends and all the best weapons and armor in a stolen wagon. He clucks his tongue fondly. I woke up with a throbbing head and blood in my eyes to the new sergeant screaming that I'd best throw on a sack and grab a stick because the protectorate was coming. I can't recall much about the battle itself, lots of screaming and most of it mine. I remember hitting a number of heads with that stick, and I lost the sack at some point. No one seemed prepared to comment, what with all the dying. He sighs. At any rate, the protectorate kicked our teeth in and drove us back to a little herd town in the far eastern end of the plowshares. He winces at the memory. Well, the herd folk there, they were doing all they could for us, feeding us, binding our wounds, because, well, we'd been defending their town, hadn't we? He spreads his hands. Trying to, at any rate, but they didn't know that the protectorate had also stolen all their aneen for provisions, the whole herd, and was headed south with them. Aneen, I believe, are two-legged, but still large sort of beasts of burden that they use. He sighs. Come winter, those folk were going to starve to death. How the herd got stolen is a different tale. Villains on all sides we were. Okay. He shifts uncomfortable. My commander wasn't going to tell him, but I couldn't stand it. We were meant to be to be the saving of these people, and here we were robbing them just as surely as the protectorate had. So that night, the new sergeant and I borrowed 2 rasters and a sonic punch and flew south until we found the stolen aneen. We scream-dived the herd until they bolted, then chased them all the way back north. He shakes his head. What a young hero I was. What a fool. We nearly got knocked out of the sky a dozen times by their fire throwers, but we were sure that once we got the aneen away, they wouldn't dare turn back for them. They knew we were being reinforced the next morning, you see. He chuckles. Avi got demoted for that stunt, and we both got a week in the brig besides. But those herd folk were damned grateful. He winks. Some of them several times. All right. Oh boy. Who's Avi? Hey, XP. Huh? He says, his eyebrows climbing. Oh, let his name slip, did I? Aveen was the old sergeant I mentioned. First we were partners, then more than that by a long shot. He sinks his thumbs beneath his belt. But, well, you know things. They change. Grinning, Tiber shakes his head. Heh, I haven't thought about the man in years. Ah, that was why I haven't thought about him too hard. Yay, XP! See, you know, we get rewarded for doing this. Let's see. Mercenary work. Too many stories in that sack to tell in a single setting, he says, scratching his head. But I'll stick to the one with the least amount of back alley murders. It's a lovely day for grim tales of bloodshed. He squints at the air. It was just after I'd left the military life. I was desperate to make a name for myself as a mercenary. Too desperate, as it turned out. He clears his throat. I was drinking in my favorite bar and felt a soft touch on my shoulder. It was a lady, Nychthemeron nobility, she said, and in need of a bodyguard. Groaning, he covers his eyes. And that body, those eyes, I accepted on the spot, of course. She tried telling me why she needed me, something about assassins at a ball, but I was too busy watching her hips shift beneath the dress. Good Lord. I followed her around that ball with barely a thought in my head. Then, halfway through the party, she excuses herself and comes back in different clothes. He chuckles, though there's no humor in it. She tells me that to anyone who asks, I'm her husband, Baron Gaiusk of Nychthemeron, and that we have to leave immediately. We worked our way toward the door, but were stopped by the host of the ball and a phalanx of city guards, and they demanded to know who I was. He grimaces. Terrified, but right on cue, I say. I'm Baron Nychthemeron of Cavalrine. Of Cavraline. And this is my... Gavraline, there we go. Baron Nychthemeron of Gavraline, and this is my knife. Baron Nychthemeron of Gavraline, and this is my knife. He shakes his head. 30 days in the blocks as an accessory. Turned out she'd stolen a fortune in living gems from an upstairs bedroom. She wasn't any kind of noble, just a common, beautiful thief. And the next time I saw her, she was dead. Life isn't fair for anyone, and that's the truth. Okay. What about the dance again? What about one of those good times you mentioned? Oh, I've had plenty, he says, running his teeth over his lip. Okay. More good times than bad, even as a gallaglass. But of course, there is one that stands out. Of course there is. He isn't smiling now, despite his words. My partner at the time, my old sergeant, and I heard of a scrap brewing on the border between two mercenary armies over territory. He scratches his mustache. We got there and knew it was going to be a bloodbath the moment someone went for a weapon. They'd been rivals for too long, see? It's a sad, sad thing to see professional killers turn violent. Now, I was thinking we should get back to the road and as far from the fight as possible. But my partner, he was a tinkerer. A soft gleam rises in his eyes. He had these 2 rings he was messing with at the time, claimed they could link minds. He wanted to plant one on each side, you know, get them seeing things from the other's point of view. Ah. I couldn't talk him out of it. He snuck around in the dark of night, cursing and thumping, set up the damn things in the rival camps, and ran back to our distant hill to watch. He rubs his eyes. And all night long we heard strange things, sort of wet sounds, you know, laughter, happy sighing. He runs his hands through his hair. Then dawn came, and there was a different kind of war going on in the mud below. He flashes a grin, the kind where everyone wins. Turns out that once they got a taste of each other's thoughts, they found out they hadn't wanted to fight each other after all. Not exactly. And that was Avi for you. He finishes with the touch of a smile, always bringing out the truth in people. A better man than I deserve, certainly. All right. I think... Yeah, let's talk about you again. What are your strengths? Well, he says, planting his hands on his hips, I can hold my own in a fight. I have a gift for words, as you may have noticed. His hands slip from his hips and cross before him, and I'm not averse to the odd con or two, if you spot one worth pulling. What are you doing in Sega's Cliffs? Seeking my fortune, he says airily. Making friends. He clears his throat. Well, until this mess with Riss, at any rate. Now I guess I'm looking for work, adventure, new opportunities. Alright. I think that's it. Nothing for now. Let's continue on. Absolutely, no problem. Alright, there we go. Okay. Now we shall move about again. Something I said I could examine. What was it? This. The size of the human figure that's repeated throughout the camp is highly unusual. Its use as a symbol suggests the elevation of humanity, or perhaps a specific person. Ah, yeah, changing God, okay. Let's interact with that again, because probably won't be able to do anything. Yep, ancient device, weathered runes, leave it alone. Okay, those are the people we need to talk to. There's more things to look at over here, but we'll come over here first.
Here we go then.
Alright. Now having heard that whole story, all those stories, I'm going to save the game again. So that we don't have to do it again. Casmine. As you approach the duo, you see that they are arguing heatedly but quietly. The petite woman turns toward you. Her hair is unusual, a light, almost yellow color, and her bright eyes dominate her pretty face. Excuse me, sir, my friend and I were having a discussion, and her eyes fall upon your tattoo, and her breath catches audibly in her throat. A cast-off, one I've never seen. What's all these things? They're pretty. Glowing. Purple. Her partner is an unnaturally tall man, gaunt and sour-faced. His voice sonorous, with fingers that twitch and weave through strange contortions. Occasional light sparks in the air as he does. He turns to you and opens his mouth to speak, registers your tattoo, and closes it again. His throat bobs for a moment, and he says, "It is an honor." He nods his head to the two of them. Halligan nods his head to the two of them. "I've brought someone you should meet." He turns to you. "These are Casmine and Mimian. They're the leaders of the local branch of your church." "You have our thanks for the introduction, Halligan. Our deepest thanks." He eyes the Aeon Priest for a moment, as if about to say more, but thinks better of it. Interesting. Halligan has rarely been so helpful to us in the past. He collects himself. Mimian does. "If I might impose on your time for a moment, will you tell me about your tattoo? How did you shape it? Do you know why it differs from the others? I'm having trouble placing him. Could it be? I need more time to question him." Don't know much about my tattoo. What does it mean to you? What do you mean shape it? Don't tattoos stay the same? I'm going to ask this one first. Other cast-offs? "Yes, revered one, you're your siblings." He bows deeply and his fingers spark with repressed joy. "You are a child of the changing god. His mind saw the world through your eyes. He gained knowledge in your body, as he has done countless times over the centuries. The tattoo on your head marks you. We theorize it has a role to play in his creation of you, his cast-off shells." "You are welcome here, revered one. We stand ready to serve as we can. Have you any questions for us?" "I'd like to go back to the tattoo." "Well, we can. Okay. First, though, who are you?" He considers your words before answering a thoughtful pause. "I am Mimian. I'm one of the leaders of the cult of the Changing God in Sega's Cliffs, and my primary duty is as chief archivist. My colleague is Casmine. She's responsible for the day-to-day administration of our encampment." Alright. Here we go. Yes, so much text. So much dialogue. What can you tell me about the city? "The city our sire built and defended? The cradle of civilization? The center of the empire of knowledge?" His eyebrows rise and his slow tone is effusive. His slow tone. "It is among the great works of humanity in the Ninth World. Built on the foundations laid by unknown creators, it has risen to become one of the preeminent cities on Gavaria Sound." Gavaria Sound, wherever that is. He pauses. "It is somewhat diminished in these latter years, to be sure. Perhaps if the Changing God were to return to lead us to glory..." No. "Anything more about the city?" "Many thousands of souls call Sega's Cliffs their home. They came here for safety, for succor, and the Changing God protected them. Now you can visit the spires of Government Square, where he once sat, or the places where his machines once shifted the city out of time." Yeah, this is where it happened. Okay. I suspected that. "Your sire even faced the bloom when he was here." Your sire even... Oh, this is Casmine. I forgot to change the voice. Oh, who cares? "Your sire even faced the bloom when he was here." She represses a shiver. "But you should avoid it at all costs. There is much else to do in the city, if you want to walk in your sire's footsteps." Anything else? Anything else? Nope. "Do you know anything about the sorrow? Because that's really bothering me right now." She shudders and touches herself ritualistically on the forehead and on her lips. "A monster of deepest nightmare. I have heard that it wants you dead. Every one of the Holy One's creations, all dead. I don't know why, but it hates you." Yeah? Anything else? Mimian nods somberly, raising a finger to his forehead. "Only that it is remorseless, pitiless, and it wants nothing more than the destruction of you and all those who, like you, were created by your sire." Great, that's really helpful. Why don't you tell me about this tattoo again? You are a cast-off of the Changing God, our inspiration, the man who has cheated death for centuries so that he might accumulate wisdom. He wears bodies like clothes and abandons them when he has exhausted his studies in them. Yet when he leaves, a spark of consciousness, a spark of I can't talk. A spark of consciousness remains, your consciousness, revered one. Great, thank you. That's good to know. Just that's all that's the meaning of the tattoo, right? Did we ask everything we want to do about the sorrow? No. Can you tell me about my sire? You mean the most accomplished inventor of our time? You mean the most accomplished inventor of our time? The hero of Sagus Cliffs? The man who dodged death itself? The Time Weaver? The man who destroyed the Tabat? Oh, we have so much to say, she catches herself. But perhaps we should wait for another time. Oh yeah, no, that's now's not good. Got stuff to do. Do you know anything about a device called a resonance chamber? Rumor and conjecture, nothing more. Great. Idle speculation from those who wish to pretend to knowledge of your sire's motivations, passed along as fact. He leans out to touch you. Have you seen it? Do you know where it is? What it does? Oh boy. Yeah, I need to know who can repair it. So you have seen it. You have touched it. She catches herself. She seems almost overwhelmed. Your tattoo, like all the others, but this one is different. Mimian looks sharply at you now, all distraction gone. I do not recognize you. He says, you do not match any descriptions we have recorded. She snaps her fingers as if... Casmian snaps her fingers as if... Casmian snaps her fingers as if she is finally figuring out a mystery. You're... Wait. Let me remember your face. She studies you carefully. You're... Oh my, you're new. Are you the Changing God? Can it be? She reaches out to touch your sleeve and pulls her hand back quickly. I am the Changing God. No, I'm not the Changing God. Those are the only choices. See, I think it's possible we could be playing the Changing God here. However, I think it would be very dangerous to admit it here. So I'm going to say that I'm not. His eyes flicker toward you. Alligern's eyes flicker toward you. His mouth draws down for a moment. He says nothing. Yeah. Come on, read his surface thoughts. You know you can. Mimian nods, satisfied. As I thought, you are a cast-off, one of his children. He touches you with his long-fingered hand as if in consolation. There is no shame in such a thing. Many cast-offs have come to our attention, and some of them have sought to deceive us so that they might seem more important. He smiles softly. If you are as new as we suspect, it is better for us, to know the truth of your existence than to bluster and lie. Yes. Crestfallen, Casmine touches your shoulder. Are you sure you're not? She catches herself. No, why would you lie about that? With a noticeable effort, she wrenches herself into optimism and she chirps. But you're new, aren't you? You're new. Have you decided what you'll do, what you'll be? Your sire's other children have done amazing things, and no doubt you will as well. I want to fix my brain first. Mimian lays a hand on her shoulder and his voice is low, cautionary. Cass. She looks away from you for a moment, swallowing sudden tears, and he says, we have a request for you. Oh, great. See, you're not helping me at all, but we're going on a quest. He gestures toward the clock behind him. Dark figures circumambulate these... Good word, circumambulate. These clock faces. I theorize that your sire's creation of the time shields that protected this city established a connection with his future selves. Given this, we believe those figures may be cast-offs, or ghosts of cast-offs, perhaps. The living shells of the bodies your creator has worn previously. Yes? His fingers shrug eloquently for him. Shrugging fingers. How do your fingers shrug? I don't know. The clock is unmoored in time, you see. We do not have a knowledge sufficient to investigate, but you might. You have a connection with he who created the clock. You should be able to align it with the present time, and uncover who these figures are. A gentle, rare smile appears. If you cannot, at least you will increase our store of knowledge. Kasmin smiles bravely, looking between Mimian and you, and says, and then we can answer the questions you must have, right, Mim? I'll do it. I won't do it. You have any idea how to fix the clock? Well, I mean, this will be more information. It will be helpful in some fashion or other. Any idea how to fix it? We have tried. I appealed to the Order of Truth. I have spoken with eminent seekers of knowledge. We have sent for wisdom from as far as the Steadfast. A great achievement, you must agree. Yeah, I think this is like on the opposite end of that continent. None have given us an answer. We believe your sire created the device, or had a hand in it. Perhaps. Dismay dances across his fingers. All his fingers will speak for his face. His hungry-eyed compatriot steps in. Perhaps you can find an answer where others have failed. Then we can help you. She turns away. We'll have our boundless gratitude, revered one.
Updated my journal.
Yep, there we go. Best of luck. Okay, so we got to deal with this clock here. However, given our timing here, I might. We will take a look at it. We will go ahead and take a look at it before we dive off here. Saving again. I'm gonna save after that because, in case we want that conversation to go a different way. Alright.
Yes.
Interacting. This complex machine towers over you. Its purpose is unclear, but the three circular faces set into the ground remind you of clocks. Something is wrong with the machine, however. It's partially transparent, shimmering in the air when you look directly at it. The clock faces seem to show several different times at once. Humanoid silhouettes ripple beneath the central clock face. One places his hand against the face as though it were a glass wall. They seem to be watching you. We're going to examine the machine. The towering mechanism wavers in the air. Similar to Castilage, it appears to be in several states at once, though all of the machine states are in the exact location, same location. You can't touch it either. Your hand passes right through the structure. Ah! More flashbackery. As you pull your hand away, a memory strikes you as powerfully as if someone took a club to your chest. You are working at the clock. It is no longer transparent, but perfectly solid. There is a noise behind you, so they've come, the three traitors. They think to surprise you. But through the powers of the clock, you have foreseen this moment. There is the faintest sound of metal sliding against leather. You slap a hand on the central clock face, activating the clock's arcane powers. You're not sure what it will do to them, but it's better than what they'll do to you. There's a flash. Arcs of energy stretch out from the clock, over your shoulders to your would-be attackers. You don't see what happens to them, but they quickly disappear along with their screams. Oh dear. Yeah, I get a feeling these silhouettes are not actually other cast-offs. As the last shreds of the memory fade, a swirl of energy passes through your body. Cold barbs prick every muscle. Suddenly, tidal forces arc from the clock to three ancient devices in the cultist encampment. The clock recognized something inside you, or maybe vice versa. Either way, you have inadvertently activated the nearby devices. Here we go! Yep. See here? Yep. Well, that's interesting. Okay. So that is fascinating. We've just apparently had a major thing happen here, and where these shield generators, I think, are they generate? Well, the big thing was the shield generator. I don't know. But these are active now. So I kind of want to know what's going on here. If I interact with the clock again, I'm wondering what shall happen. I'm going to change the view again one more time real quick. And try one more interaction. Just sort of to see what it is that we're looking at here. The complex machine shimmers in the air when you look directly at it. The clock faces seem to show several different times at once. Okay. I'm gonna try reaching for the silhouettes. Your hand passes straight through the clock face, the figures, and the entire structure, as if the entire machine wasn't even there. Okay. Find some other way to get at them. Examine the machine again. Is it doing anything different? Wobbles in the air, seeming to be in several states at once. Makes you a little sick to look at it. Okay. Alright. Okay. That has given us more info. However, we have come to the end of our time. I think for now. I save over this? Yeah, all we did was touch it, and so yeah. Okay. Off we return to the main menu. Yes. Alright. Well, there we go. Yeah. I think what we shall do here, just in the interest of checking something out real quick, there is one thing I wanted to just check out here. There we go. Here, let's put that on there. There we go. So I think that one of the things that we were talking about before, the Clock of Kala. Let me see if I've got a picture of it here I can show you real quick as we switch back to where we were here. One moment as we do that, because that'll be the easiest. Way to show it unto you. Oh, that's right, on that map we only ever see it in the upper corner. Okay. Let me see if I can just bring this in here real quick so that you can see what it was I was talking about earlier, and hopefully that will be of some help. All right. No, we're not doing that. We're doing this. Yeah. Okay, just wanted to check that out real quick. Yeah, there we go. Okay. And we're just going to move a couple of things whilst that's going on, so you can see what it was I was speaking about. Okay, cool. See how this does. Okay. Quick weird thing we're gonna do. Hi. So I found this this image here. That's the map that you usually get, as you're sort of seeing on the screen now with Numenera. The Clock of Kala that I was talking about is up here in this corner, and it's this big sort of ring of mountains. Okay, so it's not a perfect circle per se, but it's got this entry into it. This is definitely a man-made thing, right? because that's the thing. Every bit of this has of this planet, this Earth, every atom has been gone over. It's been modified in some way for the most part, or it's had the opportunity to, because it's like a billion years in the future. So there we are. So anyway, they found that interesting. So you have like settlements and stuff inside there, and interesting sort of different things that are sort of the people variety, different kinds of people that you would see there, and so that's a thing that I'm kind of interested in. Just was sort of curious how it all went, because that was a thing of interest to me. Here, let me just zoom in a wee bit more there, so you can just sort of see what I'm talking about. Yeah. And so yeah, it was not. So I thought it was cool that they brought that up as this was going on. But that will be it for today. Thank you very much for watching. Tomorrow morning I'll be back with We Happy Few, and then on Sunday we shall be playing a one-shot that I put together some time ago. It's a one-shot tabletop RPG. It's going to be in the system Fate Accelerated, and it's called A Night at the Gallery. It's a scenario where all the PCs are characters from famous paintings, and they're sort of existing in the world that exists between the frames. And so I'm very much looking forward to seeing how that goes. That's so that'll be it for this weekend, and again then after that, hopefully things are. Is it next week things are going to get rocky? Not too rocky. Things are about to get rocky in a couple of weeks for me, but we'll see how things go. However, provided things are still good a week from today, then I shall resume this, and we shall see the effects of what's happened as a result of us activating this clock, and look around and sort of figure out what's going on. I'm very much looking forward to it. In the meantime, though, take care, folks, and I will see you all of a sudden.